Chapter 8, The Best Lunch Ever by Sky. When I woke up, I was lying near the black pond on a carpet of thick moss. I breathed in deeply and blinked. Jax and Blizzard were sitting next to me, sipping something hot because steam was pouring from their cups. "Ah," said Blizzard. "Good. Are you all right?" "Yes," I said, beaming. "It's not my fault." "What?" asked Blizzard. "None of it," I said with a big smile. "None of it's my fault." Jax smiled. "None of it," she said. "Nothing at all, dear Sky." I sighed with relief. "Such a good feeling," I said. "So good," said Jax. As I lay there, I searched my brain to see if I could remember how I'd been rescued. How did I get out of the black pond? I frowned, but Jax patted my hair and said, "Shh, rest." "You did well," said Blizzard. "Very well," said Jax. I closed my eyes and allowed myself to drift back to sleep. I began to dream. Everything was light and airy. I was high up in a tower, and there was nothing to worry about. Angel was nearby, staring out at the sea, and some soft blue curtains were moving back and forth in the breeze. And when Angel turned to look at me, her face was so kind that I felt like the most loved person in the world. After what seemed like days, I woke up again and realised that not much time had passed at all. Blizzard and Jax were still sipping their drinks, and the daylight was exactly as it had been when I drifted off to sleep. "Should we go?" I asked, suddenly worried that I was holding up the rescue mission. "All is well," said Blizzard. "Best if you rest for a bit longer." I dozed off and felt as if I was floating on a lake in the middle of an enormous ballroom where people were dancing all around me to the most beautiful music. I felt completely safe and wonderfully happy. Relaxing in the sun made me feel more calm than I'd ever felt in my entire life. "Treasure what you're feeling," said Jax. "Keep it to yourself for a while. Let it become your new way of being." I nodded. Letting the peace sink in, Jax beamed. "Good, isn't it?" "So good," I said. "I won't have all that rubbish inside me when we go back into the Noesis." "None of it," said Blizzard. "The time virus loves hatred and anger. That's its natural habitat." "Yuck," I said. Blizzard pulled a face. "Isla's full of hate, and she has so much jealousy. She yearns to have someone else's life, but what she really needs is her own life, as it should be." I nodded. I had jealousy too, and shame. I realised that when I was in the pond. "Shame is such a lie," said Jax. "What happened to you and to your family is most definitely not your fault, nor is it Ben's. All of it was the time virus." I nodded. I've always felt like things were my fault. I feel as if I've been living under a massive boulder, and somehow today it's been rolled away. Blizzard grinned. "Good," he said. "No one wants you living under a big rock. Now, we'll go back to the Noesis this afternoon. First, let's have some lunch. Darling has come to the temple to prepare something specially for you," said Blizzard. "Oh, so kind," I said, suddenly overcome with hunger. Before we entered the temple, I gave each of the black cats a big cuddle and a pat. They pretended to be aloof, but I could tell that they loved the attention. Inside the temple were sculptures, and beautiful words were carved into the walls as well. If you walked right through the temple, you came out onto a fresh air platform high above the forest. So many colourful birds were playing in the branches of the trees, and tiny monkeys were leaping about, teasing one another. It was there that I had one of the happiest lunches of my life, and one of the most delicious.